A while back, I had a friend text me about this episode of the show Gumball, and I am familiar enough with Gumball. I am mostly familiar with one of the voice actors absolutely trashing Dream in the car.
I don't understand that you're talking to like Michelangelo all the time, right? Like a genius, Albert Einstein level history bookmaker. You're gonna be forgotten like the dust in the sand when you're in the fucking Sahara and there's 100,000,000,000 billion fucking sand particles. You're gonna be one of those, and I'm gonna be a statue right next to the gold.
Which was a whole situation, and I kind of lived for it. But aside from getting back at evil older men that are taking advantage of younger men, I wanted to talk about a particular episode in the Gumball show that kind of normalizes the political violence we are seeing today in our world. Recently, there was a very tragic event where the political leaders of the Democratic Party were slaughtered in their home along with their dog, as well as even before that with the attack on Nancy Pelosi and her husband in their home in San Francisco by a Canadian immigrant. And there are many instances of political violence. I can go on. Recent political violence against firefighters, recent political violence against Jonathan Joss and his partner and their house. All this normalization of political violence, I feel like, is becoming ever rampant and ever growing. And I don't find it to be a coincidence. But I also don't find it to be just one person's fault. I feel like with the cult of personality in America, we often attribute tragedies and atrocities to one person, which is exactly what fascist regimes would like you to do. But I'm here to tell you that it's very much a generational thing. The people that are causing the problems are definitely people within my age range. They are in their 20s, they are in their 30s, they are in their youth, and they grew up with the normalization of political violence in their cartoons, in their day-to-day life as humor. And I'm going to give you an example. The episode of the Gumball show in question I'm talking about is called The Vision. It is from season 5, episode 11, and aired around October 2016 before the elections. And you could already see the tensions bubbling just by me mentioning all those very things. So in this episode, Gumball and his friend don't like the new candidate for student body president. And the student body president happens to be a balloon. And this balloon character shows up whenever. I'm not really that familiar with the show. But the hijinks throughout the whole episode is that they're trying to pop this balloon.
Had the chance to stop the worst dictator the world has ever seen while he was still a kid. You mean...
Too much?
Yeah.
They're trying to pop this balloon to stop it from running for student body president because they fear of that balloon's agenda. I feel like I should mention this balloon character's other coded messaging, like the very gay undertones of this character. This orange balloon has some very gay undertones. There is a scene where this balloon is eating an eggplant. And, I mean, that's not subtle in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not going to pretend that. So, despite it being a political violence episode, there is a level of normalized hate crime in this episode that I feel like hate crimes are also being normalized to the point where police departments are announcing that it's not a hate crime before they even look at the fucking crime scene anymore. And that's evident with the Jonathan Joss situation. So there are major undertones in this situation that are gay, but are gay in the very uncomfortable way. In ways that don't make me feel fucking safe around these fucking kids, I'll tell you that. Woo! And you could see where this is going. You already know where this is going.
Competitors.
Huh? Don't let Elmore slip up? Boycott Banana Joe? What the?
Don't let the evil take root? Protect the youth? What the?
Once he has finished eating everything in the cafeteria, who will be next?
And eventually they make up with the balloon, talk with the balloon, and decide not to pop it. But at the very last few minutes of this cartoon, the balloon starts typing its rough draft for what it wants for a government in the student body government. And then as soon as the balloon makes an evil face, they pop that shit. Gumball comes out of nowhere and pops the balloon like he'd been meaning to do the whole episode and murders a fucking fellow student to avoid a political agenda. And this was on Cartoon Network. This was on Cartoon Network for like a long time. Like this show ran for a long fucking time. And that's not the only instance of political violence in cartoons, but that's just one of many examples. So I am not surprised by the rampant political violence of today because of the media we have consumed that normalized political violence. You see where I'm going here? It is not just a few politicians that are bad eggs. It is an entire community and system of youth that are used to the desensitization of violence for political gain. This happens with school shootings as well. You know what I mean? It's very awful. And I feel like we don't talk about it often enough. And I know for a fact we're not talking about it often enough because in this regime, where we just had a recent assassination, an assassination of political leaders, of people that would normally get the respect they deserve from a sitting president or from a sitting government body, but it has all been swept under the news and swept under the rug by the mainstream media, and it has become more and more evident that this sort of political violence is being normalized not only by our society, but by our governmental bodies as well, which begs the question, is this the new normal? Is political violence going to be the new normal in the United States of America? And these are really serious questions to ask because this is shit that's happening in our real fucking world. And it's happening, and the political violence is nothing new on planet Earth. Political violence happened recently in Cuba with their presidential candidate. It has happened in Japan with one of their former presidents. Political violence happens, but the rampant normalization of it is what I am drawing concern to, because it is not just one person. It is not just, oh, that so-and-so, they allowed these people to do this. No. This has been a generational thing. This has been generational desensitization of violence, desensitization of humanity, and the slow dehumanization of our elected officials, of normal people, the dehumanization that is rampant in our culture today that is just plain appalling. And just awful. We are not even seen as human anymore. We are seen as a turnover rate. And I can't say that often enough. And it's just, I'm not saying this Gumball episode in particular normalized that, but in a way, in order for that Gumball episode to be normal, we must have already been in that state, that mental state collectively of, well, this is just something that happens, political violence. Violence is just something that happens, you know? But this ain't Tom and fucking Jerry anymore. This ain't Tom and fucking Jerry anymore. This is shit that is devious. This is shit that is calculated. This is shit that is costing people their lives. People's fathers and mothers are dying. People's children are fucking dying because of political agendas. Fucking the abortion agenda in general is, I find, political violence. Recently, there was a mother in Georgia whose body was kept alive even though she was brain dead. They could have saved her life with a abortion procedure, but no, they decided to let her die so the baby could live, and that the son, the poor toddler who held his mother's hand as she fucking died because of a political agenda, is political violence to a level I cannot fathom, I cannot understand, and I cannot empathize with. It is unhuman to do these things. And I fear I've said too much, but it boils my fucking blood deep in my fucking soul because I hurt. I hurt. Because this could have been you. This could have been me. This could have been anyone. And that is why the normalization of political violence is not just about politics anymore. It is about humanity. And we need to fight for what's left of our humanity. Empathy is going to be the glue that holds us together. And I don't want you to forget that. And when you see something that normalizes political violence, recognize that. Recognize that and tell your kids, this is not normal. This may look funny, but it's not a fucking joke. Okay? It is not a fucking joke. Political violence is no longer a fucking joke. Post 2025, post any date. It wasn't even funny back then. Okay? And that's why I didn't even bother with that show. Anyway, yeah. I think I've spoken enough about this subject. I hope you understand where my feelings come from. And if not, I hope you empathize in some capacity to the world around you and how it is changing very rapidly. Value yourself, value the people around you, and be mindful. Be mindful and take care. Okay. I love you guys. Bye-bye.